going Buried Alive Reanimate is going to be really, really strong here. His opponent really wouldn't have a way to interact with that at all.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these matchups, I'd be happy watching every single one of them.
Yeah, they're all really interesting.
But yeah, starting with this one, and then hopefully we'll see something really interesting shake out for the semifinals.
Yeah.
And of course, if this matchup just goes by really fast, we will certainly bring you another match.
Probably going to be the fastest of the matchups. Aggro Loam, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it uses Life in the Loam in conjunction with Seismic Assault to create an engine that makes it very difficult for your opponent to have any sort of board presence at all. You keep loaming lands back to your hand and then pitching them to deal 2 damage to a creature or player, and you have so many lands because of your loam engine with cycling lands that you can virtually kill everything on the table, and once you've taken all pressure off of yourself, you can just start aiming things at your opponent's face, and it closes the game very quickly. It's a very aggressive deck. It has access to discard spells. Usually plays Terravore, although I'm not sure if this player has, gone to a 4-color version to play Knight of the Reliquary. He seems like he would be an upgrade in this type of archetype. But again, Aggro Loam is something we haven't really seen for years.
It's not one that that's been saturating the top tables.
I actually, on the ride home from Charlotte, I was in a car with Gerard, Lou Laskin, and Nick Spagnolo, and I said, what if I just built Aggro Loam for Legacy? And I was berated by everyone who was saying it's a combo format now. That deck just beats every aggro deck. You just get crushed every time. So it's like, okay, I guess I won't build Aggro Loam, but the deck has access to some of the better card advantage engines. If it's not playing against combo decks, it does very well. So this top 8 does look very good for the Aggro Loam player. Vengevine's going to be good against him, though.
Yeah, and Vengevine's, as we were saying earlier,
good against non-swords removal.
Kind of
so
really good creature, in general. Yeah. And I love to see that it's shining in Legacy because it can't seem to squeeze its way into Standard in any really relevant way. That may change. Looking forward and seeing a lot of Titans being predicted for Standard, I don't know that Vengevine will.
Yeah, Titans
will shine,
trump
but
Vengevines.
And that's been the problem for Vengevine since M11. But it sounds like we're going to be going right to the match.
All right, here we are. On the left, we have Ken Adams piloting his black-green deck, and on the right, we have Micha Greenbaum. I think Micah's name is actually spelled wrong. It's M-I-C-A-H.
Yeah, M-I-C-A-H. Is, just the A and the H are switched.
Now,
there we go. But yeah, Vengevine, it's great to see that card shine in Legacy because I think it's just one of the... Not only is it just an exciting card and a very powerful card, I think it's an interesting card because, it does kind of force like some amount of kind of overcommitment in a way. Like you need to play 2 guys to get this 3rd guy out of the graveyard, and I think that was one of my first inclinations when I saw it. I was like, is this good? Do you really want to be playing a bunch of dudes and then just like get them all wrathed away? Like you just have to play a ton of guys, and I kind of wasn't sure about the card, and then I was sure about the card shortly thereafter.
Definitely a good card.
Yeah.
In the pre-Titan Standard, it was a menace. But since Titans have come around, generally in Magic, you can beat people by going 1 step larger than them or 2 steps smaller than them.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
So the general rules. Callblade broke those rules, though, because it played on every single plane.
Right.
It played the very low curve game, and it played the very high curve game very well. But we won't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, not at all. I'm looking forward to seeing what M12 brings us to play with. I mean, really, we have a fresh format coming in just a couple of weeks.
All right, so both these players have seen each other's deck lists. They know what to expect. Micha was undefeated after the... or was that him? Final stands after round 9.
Let me look. This is after round 8, and that's after round 9.
Oh no. Michael Greenbaum went XO2.
Wow.
Here,
yeah,
so
undefeated and draws in. So, Micha starts off on the play.
Forgotten Cave. It's the red land from Onslaught. It comes into play tapped and taps for red mana, and you can pay 1 random mana to cycle it. these types of lands work incredibly well with this Life from the Loam. They create a great card advantage engine that lets them put the pieces together to dominate aggressive matchups. Ken Adams going to lead off. He's leading off with a Cabal Therapy.
Yeah, turn one discard spell. Definitely
I think Dark Confidant is the card I would name. I'm not sure how familiar Ken is with Aggro Loam. It's a pretty obscure deck, but Dark Confidant's probably the best card he can name in this spot, especially with Micha being on the play.
So it looks like Ken is trying to decide what to name. We will certainly let you know what he names as soon as we know.
And looking over his hand, trying to figure out what he wants to name. And
looks like he may have named Bob, considering he set it aside there.
Yep.
And it was
beautiful.
Bob.
Yeah.
Very
wow.
good. So what else do we see
Ken
there?
must know what he's doing.
Yeah.
What a master. So he has a Devastating Dreams in his hand. Now, Devastating Dreams is another very interesting card. It costs red, and as an additional cost, you have to discard X cards from your hand. And then each player sacrifices X lands, and Devastating Dreams deals X damage to each creature. So it's like a Wrath and an Armageddon all built in one. And because you're working off a Loam engine, what happens is you end up with a bunch of lands in your hand afterward, and you're able to just play lands and get out of the Armageddon situation, and you've just killed all of your opponent's lands and all of their creatures.
Yeah, that does sound pretty devastating, right?
Ooh, and that's a Vindicate. That's a new addition to this deck, not a common inclusion in Aggro Loam decks. A Vindicate?
Vindicate? Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't hear what you said from the outside yelling of the outside of the booth. Kind of missed what you said. So, Micha fetches a...
I believe that's a Savannah.
Savannah, yeah.
So Micha is playing a 4-color version of Aggro Loam. That's what I was wondering before. I imagine he's going to have Knight of the Reliquary over Terravore here. It's something I was thinking about doing.
Yeah, just having that tutor ability seems really good.
Sylvan Library. That card is incredible in this deck because it's even though you're kind of a creature-based deck with like removal and discard and kind of rocky, Sylvan Library allows you to assemble pieces that really let you do like a number of very broken things.
Yeah, Sylvan Library definitely just a powerful card in general.
Yeah, so Ken is going to play this Tarmogoyf here, and I'm surprised he didn't sacrifice that to Cabal Therapy, naming Vindicate. He knows his opponent has one in hand, and it's very crucial to Ken to play his third land on the next turn so that he can resolve his Buried Alive.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we'll see if Micha decides to use that Vindicate.
Micha may think that the Tarmogoyf is a greater threat and decide to Vindicate that. So there are a lot of different things that can happen on this turn.
Well, if that's the case, then it may have been the right play for Ken to save his Cabal Therapy. So yeah.
Yeah, he goes ahead and hits that Tarmogoyf. And that may be game for Micha. I think Ken at this point can untap and Buried Alive, which will allow him to search his library for Phyrexian Devourer, Triskelion,
yep,
and
Necrotic
Ooze. And then the next turn, he'll be able to cast a Reanimate. And that should break this game wide open.
And looks like that's the plan. There's the Buried Alive. Buried Alive, an uncommon from Odyssey, and also a, I don't know if it's a common or uncommon, but it was in Mirage originally.
Yeah, the Mirage art is my personal favorite.
It's really kind of disturbing artwork.
Some zombie-ish stuff going on.
Yeah.
Great.
So there they are, the 3 cards you mentioned, Triskelion, Necrotic Ooze, and Phyrexian Devourer. So Reanimate on the Necrotic Ooze makes it into a Triskelion and Phyrexian Devourer, or at least gives it those abilities, and allows Ken to win the game. It was an uncommon Weatherlight. That's what it was. Okay, it wasn't Mirage then. Okay.
Are you sure it wasn't a Mirage also?
Yeah. According to Jeremy, he's just looking right at it. So.
Now,
Odyssey Weatherlight Commander. Yep.
we have...
Weatherlight right next to, it was like Mirage Vision Weatherlight, same block.
That's my confusion. Now we have... now, even if Micha has a Thoughtseize to get the Reanimate out of Ken's hand, he's still got a second Reanimate, so... There it is. Devastating Dreams. And Micha's plan is going to be to destroy all Ken's lands in hopes that Ken will not have a black source to be able to combo out here.
And yeah, he says, I have one in hand. There we go.
The Bayou and Reanimate, and Micha packs it in.
Wow, on to game
two.
The
key turn in that game was when Micha chose to Vindicate the Tarmogoyf instead of the land. That allowed Ken to combo him out, and it was extremely important. Now, Ken's sideboard is surprisingly well positioned for an aggro loan matchup. Dark Confidant, very good in this matchup. You want to stick it early. If you can get it in before the Seismic Assaults and pick up some card advantage off of it, that's really important. Aggro loan will struggle if you assemble enough power on the board quickly enough. Tarmogoyf is a good card against them. They really shine against aggro decks that are not Tarmogoyf based. So like the Stoneforge Mystic decks, Agrelon will do very well against them. That might be why he did so well. Agrelon will also crush Merfolk 10 ways till Sunday.
Seems like an interesting deck. I'd love to see the list, but
unfortunately,
in the meantime,
we haven't. We didn't really get to see it.
Right, we haven't gotten to see it.
Yeah,
it sounds interesting, and definitely hope to see the list pretty soon. But in the meantime, we do have a question for you guys, a trivia question, and you can win 3 months of free premium for StarCityGames.com. You will tweet your answer at SCG Live with the hashtag SCG Premium. Include your answer to the question and your StarCityGames.com username, and you could win. We'll choose a random winner out of the answers we get, and out of the correct answers we get, and we will announce that winner at the end of this match here. So the question, I'm going to start off easy and get them harder. I already have 3 questions lined up here.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
The question for 3 months of premium is, who won the standard portion of Star City Games Baltimore?
And remember, respond on Twitter at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium, and remember to include your Star City Games username. That way, when you win, we can apply it directly onto your Star City Games account. Right.
So it was a whole 12 hours ago. I know that's a little bit tough to remember. You may be able to search the Internet Wayback Machine for the archives and find out what the answer is.
This information is available to you if you do not know. I did an interview with him earlier today. One of my favorite people in the Magic community.
It's a him. That just eliminates half of the possible...
If we were playing Guess Who... yeah.
Aren't we? Does he have a mustache? Is he wearing a hat? That was a fun game.
Is he a cowboy? I would always ask like really obscure, subjective questions. Like, does he like ice cream? And like where they say no, like put a bunch of people down, and they'd be like, "How do you know?" And I'd be like, obviously, like look at this guy. He clearly doesn't like ice cream. You know? Like,
you're next leveling Guess Who. Just
what does it all mean? I
just want to buy Guess Who now. Just go to Target and buy Guess Who and just play it like that. Yeah, just want to play like that with people. Hey guys, want to play Guess Who? It's really fun the way I play. I have a variant, an existential variant.
Existential Guess Who. If you put down the person, then you know.
Yeah. So, Micha shuffling up. Does this person believe in the afterlife?
Too good. So Ken Adams up a game. Oh, Ken's a player who, you know, I think he deserves some success. Micha. Also, I'm really Micha also.
On the other hand,
also an incredible player. You know, going X1-1 in one of these events is very difficult. Micha Oh no, he went XO2, so he hasn't even lost a match
Has
yet.
not lost
and
yet,
he's also like something really impressive about Micha is that he's playing a deck that most people haven't seen for years, and many people just have never seen it at all.
Yeah, I mean,
this
honestly,
is a very strange deck.
I've only seen I've heard of the list, seen lists, but haven't really analyzed them. Don't think I've ever seen them played in coverage. So I'm certainly unfamiliar with it, and if I were facing it, I don't know what I'd expect. I'd be reading cards for sure. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
What does that do?
What is that? So.
Well, Aggro Loam is one of those decks that from time to time you'll see people on forums bring up Aggro Loam and Legacy, and people, argue back and forth a bit. And I feel like in a lot of ways the community has kind of laughed it out of the format.
Yeah.
But I've always felt it was very strong. I remember in older formats, I was always terrified to play against it because it does so well against everything that's not a combo deck. It crushes.
Unfortunately for
control
Micha,
decks and aggro
Ken
decks.
can do go several ways with his deck, including multiple different combo decks, which we just saw happen in Game 1. So.
Yeah, the Progenitus plan is also very strong against Micha, but pretty hard to achieve. 4 lands is not the easiest thing. All right, Leyline of the Void comes down from Micha Greenbaum.
So he shuts off the Buried Alive shenanigans right away.
Yep. And Leyline of the Void only removes the cards from Ken Adams' graveyard. It does not affect Micha's graveyard. So Micha will still have a great time just playing around with his Life from the Loams and cycling lands. All right, so Ken again has access to a turn 1 Cabal Therapy if he so desires.
But it doesn't get flashback, unfortunately,
swamp.
for Ken.
And notice Ken Adam grabs a swamp as opposed to a bio. His opponent played a turn 1 Wasteland, and perhaps Ken just wants to prevent his opponent from hitting anything. So Ken names, I presume he named Dark Confidant again.
Right.
That's what I would do, especially with Mike on the play. And he sees a hand of Mox Diamond, Tranquil Thicket, Vindicate, Devastating Dreams, and Countryside Crusher. Countryside Crusher is a really cool card.
Yeah.
He's a rare from Morningtide, a 3/3 for colorless and 2 red. And at the beginning of your upkeep, he pumps some iron.
Yeah.
He reveals the top card of your library, and if it's a land, he puts it in the graveyard, and then he gets a +1/+1 counter. And then if you reveal the land, you keep doing that.
Yeah.
So if you have a bunch of lands on the top of your library, he just gets very
huge,
big very quickly.
Yeah.
And he actually gets bigger whenever a land goes to your graveyard from anywhere. So,
yeah, it's pretty awesome card. Did not shine in Lorwyn, but that was probably due to the Fairy Menace in that standard environment.
So Micha uses that Mox Diamond to cycle his Tranquil Thicket. And he draws a Life from the Loam, which is pretty clutch here. This will allow Micha to start his card advantage engine going. This is what makes the deck so strong against control decks. They really just can never keep up with Loam. It's a better card advantage engine than just about anything else in the game. It's a 2-mana Ancestral Vision, or Ancestral Recall, that he can just use every single turn. And that's a Dust Bowl.
Yeah, we saw that in Drew's list earlier. I don't know that he actually used it, but... Oh yeah, he did. He did use it.
He did actually use it. And he used it on his own land to prevent a lifelink trigger.
Right.
Now, Ken was given the opportunity to untap with 2 lands in play. I'm not sure if he expected this, but...
Looks like Ken has Surgical Extraction for that Loam, and that could be really good from what I understand.
Yes, that can be very good. Micha's deck does not operate very well when it doesn't have access to Life from the Loam.
Very strong plays from Ken.
Yeah, Ken Surgical Extractions the Loam.
And stick a Dark Confidant in the same turn. That's something that you were saying was pretty key too.
Yeah, pretty key in this matchup. Micha does not have a spot removal spell other than Vindicate, and he does not have the correct land to cast the Vindicate or the Devastating Dreams in the next turn. So he's going to be in a pretty good spot. Also, Devastating Dreams has just lost a ton of value now that Ken Adams has cut the Life from the Loams out of Micha's deck. And something I just saw as he was rifling through the deck was I saw Grove of the Burn Willows, which perhaps punishing fire Grove of the Burn Willows may have been a very good choice this weekend because we saw that do very well earlier.
Yeah.
All right, so Ken goes ahead, removes all the loams from the game with his surgical extraction. That'll put Ken down to 17 life, and Ken's going to take a look at this hand and see what's there.
And see what's different from what he saw earlier. Not much, but...
And what did Micha draw here? It looked like a Sylvan Library to me.
It does look like it from that quick little sliver.
But I thought it might have been black bordered, so maybe it's a Tarmogoyf?
I thought he had a black bordered Sylvan Library.
Did he? Okay.
It's a little bit deceptive because of the sleeves that he's using make it look like a white border, make all the cards look kind of white borderish.
It was a Tarmogoyf.
It was Tarmogoyf, okay.
All right. Tarmogoyf, interesting. It's a future sight card, so its casting cost is on the wrong side. Ken will reveal Reanimate, which is, a rampant growth in this spot if he wants it to be. You can target that Dryad Arbor.
Those are exiled, though.
Oh, it's exiled.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of interesting, because that Tarmogoyf is just a 1/2 right now. I mean, just a wasteland. It's not even going to count anything in Ken's graveyard, right?
No, the Dryad Arbor was wastelanded, wasn't it?
Was it? I mean...
Yeah, it was just wastelanded. Oh, Leyline of the Void.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. So I'm talking about that Tarmogoyf and that Leyline don't interact very well, because that Tarmogoyf's pretty small.
That's true.
It's a Squire Goyf right now.
Now, the Reanimate that's in Ken's hand is just a dead card. Now, Tarmogoyf is from the set Future Sight, and it was one of these time-shifted cards. So, presumably they said they were going to reprint all the time-shifted cards.
Yeah,
but
they were all from possible futures, I think, was the idea.
So I'm not sure if Tarmogoyf's actually going to get reprinted, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him potentially being reprinted. I mean, they're reprinting Lavamancer right now, Grim Lavamancer, and that card...
That's definitely on par.
May have thought the same thing about Grim Lavamancer. Could very well see
Micha elected to not trade that Goyf for the Dark Confidant. Ken Adams is going to sacrifice his Verdant Catacombs and find a Bayou. I'm interested that he chose to get the Bayou instead of the Forest.
Yeah, with the... the Wasteland was already used, but yeah, read Dust Bowl. Maybe I shouldn't get Bayou. Yeah, gets a Forest.
Some classic art on these lands from Ken Adams.
Oh, yeah. The originals, I mean, original artwork for all these, I believe those are either unlimited or revised.
And Ken has a Tarmogoyf of his own.
Again, not all that impressive right now.
Neither player really doing much at this point in the game.
But yeah, anything Ken plays doesn't even affect the Tarmogoyf. Because of that Leyline of the Void.
Yeah, now, I think Mike is probably going to go ahead and try to stick this Sylvan Library, which you'll do. And then he's probably going to play a land, but maybe not. Maybe he wants to cycle. He wants to cycle it. He's going to elect to not play that Tranquil Thicket from his hand. Ken gets to reveal a Bayou.
About the white border Sylvan Library. I thought it was black border for some reason. So Ken did keep the Graveyard Shenanigans combo in the deck. We saw Reanimate in his hand.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't have taken it out. I think you have to keep it in just to keep your opponent honest in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. His opponent happened to have the Leyline this time around, but it's still it's still important to have in your deck just to have that option because the aggro loam deck specifically loses to combo decks, and that's its weakness.
Right, so leaving the combo in definitely seems like a good idea.
It's very counterintuitive to take the combo out.
Absolutely. Can't get a great look at his hand. I know there's a Vengevine. I know there's a Reanimate. I knew there was a Bayou, but the Bayou is now on the board.
Ken knows his
Dark
opponent has
Confidant.
a Devastating Dreams in hand, so I don't think he wants to. He knows his opponent's slow rolling some lands too, so I don't think he wants to overcommit to the board too much. But he goes ahead and casts a Fauna Shaman. Now Mike Greenbaum's going to look at the top of his library, and he's looking for a red source so that he can cast a Devastating Dreams. Devastating Dreams for a large number right here would
Be pretty
really,
devastating.
really hurt. Yeah.
That card's pretty aptly named, from what I can tell.
I'm surprised that Ken even played the third land there.
That's from that cycle in that it was Torment, right? It was like the Dream cycle. Insidious Dreams was the black one.
Nostalgic Dreams is the green one. That's one of my favorite cards ever.
What was the blue one? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good.
No, that's why I don't remember. I remember playing the black one. That was the only one I remember playing.
Yeah, so Micha did find the untapped red source. Now, I think he's going to go ahead and... ooh, what's going on here? All right. Yep, he's going to put Ken up to 16, and here comes Devastating Dreams for 3, which is going to wipe the board and leave Ken with nothing in play. Not like nothing, actual nothing in play. And I think Ken's going to be pretty upset with himself that he played that Bayou there. And Micha goes ahead and discards his hand. Now Micha has a Sylvan Library and a Mox Diamond to Ken Adams, nothing. But Ken Adams has a hand and lands in his deck, so...
So just to understand how Devastating Dreams works, it's discard X cards, each player sacrifices X lands, and it does X damage to each creature? Is that
yes.
Right, okay.
Micha decides to go ahead and... Oh, wow, he paid 4 life, and suddenly Micha is just dominating this game.
Yeah, that 4 life was well worth it.
And had Ken held that Bayou, he would have been able to cast a Birds of Paradise that turn.
So not only does Micha have an active Bob, but an active Sylvan Library, and he is gone from empty-handed to pretty much the pick of the litter off the top of his deck.
Yeah, and one of the more interesting things that's going on here now too is that we're seeing the way Agrolome kind of takes over a game out of nowhere. Like, he had no cards in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, and right now, Ken Adams looks like he's on turn 1 with no lands and can't mulligan. And Micha's drawing some lands, though.
Yeah, the Sylvan Library is doing a lot of work here for Micha, and now he's also assembled Punishing Fire. He doesn't,
Grove of the Burnwolves?
Well, the Grove of the
Oh,
Burnwolves
yeah, that's right. He lost the Grove, yeah.
In his graveyard, and he doesn't have the loams in his deck, but this just shows how strong Devastating Dreams can be.
Yeah, so pretty crazy. I think this Confidant may go all the way if Ken can't find a land to even threaten to find an answer. Well, he does top deck a land, I believe. Misty Rainforest.
And now he's going to play a Birds of Paradise. That's going to put Ken down to 11, cracking that fetch land. And I imagine Ken's going to grab a basic forest. Seems like it'd be the best play here.
No, he goes with the Bayou.
Interesting.
Definitely. Micah's played 1 Wasteland so far this game. I assume he's got 3 more. I think he may have been thinking the same thing right there, looking through his library.
I don't see the Bloodghast anywhere in Ken's deck, which is interesting. I think it's one of the better cards here. Again, he may be unfamiliar with the deck and not,
I mean, is Bloodghast good? It can't come back from the
Leyline of the Void is
Leyline, so.
very good against it, but in general, it's good against Agrolome.
Fair enough.
So Mike grabs a Plateau, and I believe, I'm not sure what's in his hand. It might be the Punishing Fire that we saw earlier. It is. So I think he's going to go ahead and punish.
Punish that birds. Poor birds didn't even do anything. Just chilling out.
Mike goes ahead. He reveals the Tarmogoyf to put him down to 10. And then he's going to attack Ken, putting Ken down to 9.
Micah
Ken
is
will
just
go down to.
Micah's just seeing so many cards.
Let's see. Ken can play a Noble Hierarch, but it doesn't do much. Ken's going to cast a Reanimate. Michael will go ahead and remove his graveyard from the game. Hence Fizzling, said Mana Leak. And Ken packs it up. Ken says, let's go to game 3.
Yeah, this game was so, like, I don't know how Ken could have really crawled back into it, because Micah...
And that's what Agrolome does.
Yeah. It's a really... I can imagine that it seems like it would be very frustrating to play against, because Micha played that Devastating Dreams, and then that was where he won the game.
Yeah.
But several turns went by of Micha not able to really close. Not that he couldn't have, but it's just like a matter of time kind of thing. And Ken obviously just in a situation with Leyline of the Void where he can't even. Not only has his board been completely wiped, but one of his key strategies been completely wiped as well. And it just seems like a very frustrating deck to kind of play against, where just once it reaches that Devastating Dreams.
Yeah, and
threshold.
That game could have been very different had Ken just not played that Bayou.
Yeah.
The turn after the Devastating Dreams, he would have played the birds.
He would have had the birds, yeah.
And Micha would not have been able to Punishing Fire right away.
Right.
And then he would have stuck a Goyf. And who knows where it would have gone from there. So
that's a good point, yeah. So
that was definitely the key play of that game. Ken Adams decided to play a Bayou when he knew his opponent had the Devastating Dreams in hand. And it really hurt him.
Yeah, so...
I think Ken really wants to focus on 2 drops.
Yeah, he's trying to... making a couple changes. Probably not a terrible idea. And both players now shuffling up, decided on their changes.
I think Ken may be thinking, well, my one combo doesn't really work, so maybe if I try this Progenitus thing. And if he does get a Progenitus in play against Micha, that's probably lights.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to get the form out.
Is there room for him to have both combos there?
There's certainly room for it, but the one combo seems to be hated out pretty heavily by Micha. Micha has Leylines, Crypts, all this stuff. If you just take out the Buried Alive, it seems like you could put yourself in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say the one combo's hated out pretty well, but like you mentioned, the other combo's pretty well hated out as well, because reaching 4 lands against this deck doesn't seem like an easy feat.
Yeah, when they're